Today we're looking at Wend maintenance and optimization. We've had a few questions about how to get coloured Wend off of a chain. So we're going to walk through a couple of different options. We don't think it's always completely necessary to take it all the way back to the metal, but we're going to look at a couple of different ways to do it so you can keep your bike working nicely. A few different tools, rags, some pokey tools, brushes, more Wend. So here is Jessica's cross bike. She's overlaid two colours. There was a pink on here originally and then a yellow on the top. We are going to show how to scrub it all the way back to completely clean, but also how to do a much simpler version if you don't want to take it all off, because you don't really need to the entire time. Let's look at how to scrub it all the way back to the metal if you were to so desire to start the whole thing over again. Key for all of this is a wax off. Literally melts through everything, this stuff. What we're really trying to achieve here is getting the wax off onto as much of the waxy surface as possible, and then we want to agitate it off. So we're going to use a copper brush, which is what they use for polishing metal before welding. So it's absolutely perfect for this, because it means it won't damage the metal in any way, won't damage the chain, but it'll help just remove any of that extra wax that sticks properly onto the things. Copper brush. A little bit of wax off, scrub it through, and we've got ourselves all the way back to the main metal. Now, you don't need to do that, but if you want to, that's how to do it. What we're going to look at now is another way of how you can prepare an already waxed chain to kind of go again without having to do that whole scrub back. This way I'm just going to take it off as the kind of traditional method, just using the wax off, that fell over, and a cloth. Just going to massage the wax off into the areas we want to clean, and take a firm rag, this happens to be an old sock, clean it off. I'm not trying to get this perfectly clean, because to be honest, it doesn't need to be perfectly clean. I'm just getting rid of all of the wax that sat in the moving parts of the chain. So I'm just rubbing finger and thumb, using the coarse part of this old hiking sock. The wax off has melted the wax, and this is just helping push it all aside. So that's with wax off and a rough sock, and we've managed to agitate away all of the wax build up so we can recolour it. Next part to clean after doing the chain is the jockey wheels, these two here. You can give them a little spruce up so they're ready for another application. A little bit of wax on the fingers, run it through the wheels. Nothing to be scared about on these, it won't bite you. Back to Mr. Trusty hiking sock, and just give them a little rub through your fingers. So, cassette, nice and easy. I just dribble a little bit of wax off into the cassette. Just take a standard brush and agitate. So let's run a bit of water over it. Now just passing a rag through it to get it dry and get all the superficial dirt off. So this is Jess's cross bike, so you can see where there's bits of mud and whatnot that are sat around the cassette when she's been using it off-road. We've cleaned back the chain. We've cleaned the cassette down. The beauty about it not being oil-based is you never have to fully scrub it. You just need to kind of get rid of the surface layer. So now I'm going to show you reapplying the Wend, even though I purposely left a section which I haven't cleaned, because actually the beauty about this product is that you don't need to fully scrub it all back. I'm just going to show you the contrast between the two. So the first thing going on is the white. If when you touch the white to the chain, you're getting black streaks, this is from a previous Wend, that means there's still oil in the system. So that shows you that that's where people go wrong sometimes, if you've still got oil left on the drive chain. So that there, when we did it last, whoever's bike this was, had some oil in there. So I just get rid of that first top layer and start with a nice white. You can see how running that one through, there's no oil muck coming off on that chain because it's nice and clean. We get lots of questions about how we get our coloured wax looking so good. The first key, after a good clean, a really strong base white layer, which I've just massaged in the whole way around the chain to give it a kind of primer, if you like. You can see here how I've covered some of it where I'd cleaned all the chain all the way back, but some areas of the chain I've still left the colour on underneath on purpose to kind of demonstrate that you don't need to scrape it all the way back to the metal if you don't want to, if you don't have the time. We've got a solid white base, and then we're going to colour over the top. I'm going to colour it half in purple and half in green. Again, when it comes to the colouring, we're trying to get the colouring on the outside of the chain, the bit that people can see, because it's already got the wax layer on the top of the pins. And I do it very simply with just a nice little. So you can see, like I said before, where there was still the previous Wend left below. If you give it a little clean and then use the white as a new base, you instantly colour over the top of it. There was so little of the colour left there because I've cleaned it off, but just a little residual amount. A chain that was originally yellow and pink has now been stripped back using a couple of different methods and re-wended purple and green. Last hot tip for at the end, any little build-up you might get of wax into the jockey wheels, I just use either a small Allen key or in this instance, some kind of dental tool, just to give them a little run through to get rid of any build-up that might accumulate when you're putting on the first layer. The final piece of the puzzle to help it all set is a little baby dribble, literally just a few drops on your fingertips of the wax off, and I just run that over the top. That helps melt the whole coating in place, helps solidify it all. Ideally, if you're using this method, you're not riding the bike straight away, you're going to give it an hour or two to set, overnight perhaps. Bosh, there you go. Purple green.